Is 2025 the year of NIO stock? NIO stock has been struggling for a long time. If you look at the chart right here, in the last 5 years, this stock has basically done nothing. If you bought 5 years ago, you would be down 0.23%, which basically means flat, but you would lose because of inflation. In the last 3 years, you would be down close to 86%. Year on year, you would be down 33.4%. But could everything change in 2025? Let's discuss that in this video. Right now, NIO has a market cap of $9.17 billion and a forward EV to sales ratio of 0.8 times. If we look at what the analysts are expecting this company to achieve in the next 2 fiscal years, you can see that sales growth is quite high, but the company still unprofitable by fiscal 2026, although management did tell us something else with regards to 2026 and profitability. Right now, if you look at the average analyst price target, that sits 41.7% higher than the price we're at today. So let's talk about NIO in this video. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, we really appreciate that. If you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment with the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. I first, of course, have to talk a little bit about the Trump-China sentiment here. So first up, we've got TikTok. TikTok apparently restores its service after Trump vows to extend the deadline. Apparently, TikTok shut down in the United States for less than 24 hours, and people were already freaking out that they had to touch grass. But worry no longer, you can go and scroll through that toxic thing yet again. On the right here, we've got more positive news. President Xi Jinping speaks with US President-elect Donald J. Trump on the phone. Apparently, Donald J. Trump tweeted out or truthed out, I don't know what happens on that platform. I just spoke to Chairman Xi Jinping of China. The call was a very good one for both China and the USA. It is my expectations that we will solve many problems together and starting immediately. We discuss balancing trade, fentanyl, TikTok, and many other subjects. President Xi and I will do everything possible to make the world more peaceful and safe. And on that news, on the Hong Kong exchange, we've seen Alibaba, NIO, and JD go up on Monday. On Monday, the United States stock market is closed, but in Hong Kong, that is open. And even on Friday, most of the Chinese stocks were already green. Some of you know I've placed my Chinese bets for 2025 on Pinduoduo and Alibaba a couple of weeks ago. So, NIO, is there an opportunity here to maybe double your money in the next 12 months, maybe a little bit more if you have some patience? Well, let's talk about that. And again, when I say doubling, it's a prediction, it's a bet, it can or it cannot happen. Right now, if we look at, the growth rates for NIO, we see that revenue is expected to grow quite nicely as we've seen before. The problem, of course, comes from the bottom line, the profitability aspect, net income, free cash flow, in this case, net loss. Still not expected to be close to break even by fiscal 2026, based on the current expectations. If we zoom out a little bit and we look at gross profit and gross profit margin, we can see that we peaked back here Q2, Q3 2021. We were at 18.9% or so. Then went all the way back down to 4.4% gross profit margin. But in the last couple of quarters, we have been making our way back up. Now you're going to say, oh, but last quarter that was higher. Yes, but this is last 12 months because you want to see a positive trend. And this is exactly what we're seeing. Of course, we're still quite far away from their own goals. More recently, we've got some monthly delivery numbers for NIO brand, and the sub-brands as well. So for Q4, the number came in at 72,689. That's up 45.2% year over year. The NIO brand monthly deliveries also saw an uptick. Of course, December was quite a good month overall. If we look at Onvo, that's the sub-brand, here again, the trend continues to go up and to the right. All in all, if we look at NIO's annual deliveries, that has increased 38.7% year over year, and they expect that number to double in 2025. The company expects its Onvo and Firefly brands to drive volumes. NIO has already started selling cars under its new low-cost Onvo brand and expects to start Firefly deliveries next year. The Firefly model is basically this. It will start at around $20,400. New models will also support its forecast delivery growth. NIO plans to start delivering the ET9 and launch 2 new models under the Onvo brand. It will also launch one Firefly model next year, targeting the mass market. Importantly, the company does not see any immediate need to raise capital and expects its operating cash flows to suffice. Again, this is the current state of things. Things can change. In terms of its financials, NIO expects its losses to narrow next year, so in 2025, amid rising shipments and continued cost cuts. It expects 2025 gross margins of 15% and 10% respectively for the NIO and Onvo brands. Over the long term, the company set a gross margin target of 20% for its namesake brand and 15% for Onvo. According to the CEO, he believes that NIO will achieve break-even in 2026, which is a big difference to what the analysts are expecting, which would be a key milestone for a company if it were to happen. But it would be prudent to take the optimism with a pinch of salt, as EV companies have often been a bit too aggressive with their forecast, and I think we can all agree on that, even when it comes to Tesla. And so right now, if we look at NIO stock, it sits currently, of course this is in the USA, it sits currently under the 20, the 50 and the 200-day moving average. The 200-day one sits at $5.25. We've been around these same prices for quite a while right now. Of course, we went up, then down, then back up, went actually over the 200-day moving average. That was when the stimulus news came out. So all these Chinese stocks went up quite a lot. We basically doubled from the lows in August in around a month and a half or so. So could it happen yet again, but not based on just news and stuff like that, but sentiment around Chinese stocks, sentiment around the trade wars with the United States, and yes, maybe the company's growth and profitability profile will change in 2025. That could happen, and right now at $4.36, could it double in price? Could it reach $10 by the end of 2025? I think it's certainly a possibility. When sentiment changes, things can move quite quickly. Nothing happens for a long time, and then everything happens extremely quickly all at once. We've seen it play out time and time again before. Although it didn't last that long, you have to take opportunities. I'm not saying NIO might be a great long-term hold. Me, in my eyes, probably not. But then again, if there's money on the table and there's money to be made, then why not? Why not look into this? I think for a, let's say, 12-month trade or so, I know 12-month and trade in the same sentence doesn't make much sense, but the sentiment around Chinese stocks, of course, me personally, I went with Alibaba and Pinduoduo because I think they're more stable as companies, right? Free cash flow wise and all of that, much better than a company like NIO. That's not to say that, again, in the short run, a company, a stock like NIO couldn't double because of, company-specific news, industry-specific news, or geopolitical news, trade wars and all of that. The sentiment goes away. That's basically why I placed my bets in those two Chinese stocks, because I did think that with Trump coming in, as we've seen with the first term, the same thing happened. Lots of fears, Trump coming in, etc., etc. What happened? Well, deals were made. Those stocks went up. Yes, in 2018, there was a little bump in the road, trade war with China. But what happened with those stocks? Well, those stocks kept going up and up and up and up, because we knew what's going to happen. The market doesn't like uncertainty. So now that we are entering the second Trump era, we are going to have more dialogue, more discussions, and less of headlines that will say, Trump will destroy this, Xi Jinping will destroy that. No, we will actually maybe know what the plan is for those two. We'll actually hear some discussions, some meetings, and all of that. And so the fears, or the major fears, because there's always going to be things that they say publicly and then they say something else behind closed doors, right? That's just politics. But in 2025, I do expect Chinese stocks to basically outperform. That's my bet here. So all in all, that's about it. Where will NIO be 1 year from now? I think closer to $10. That's my prediction. What do you think? Let me know down in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, do all of that, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.